Actually, in this way, in this day, actually, we do so many of things. Many academic awards are given. Many things are done. But this time, because of this pandemic, we cannot do anything in the physical mode, and all these arrangements are not possible. But in order to keep the tradition only going on, we'll have to arrange. And thanks to Dr. Ajay Mohanty, who actually contacted you and given all the information about you.
Mm. Yeah, he just messaged me 5 minutes ago, wishing best for this talk, and he said it's very late for him right now because he's on the East Coast. So he said he wants to watch the YouTube video and all that. Yeah, he was very excited.
He will obviously join because he is the main factor to connect us.
Yeah.
Good morning, sir, and good morning, ma'am. Sir, we are already live on YouTube, so it's we can formally start after 1 minute. Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Good morning to one and all. Myself, Smriti Prabhadas, Chairman, PG Council of Ravenshaw University. I welcome you all on this 14th Commemoration Day of Ravenshaw University. Actually, 14 years back, this 150-year-old education institute, whose history is synonymous with the history of modern Odisha, took his birth. Each year, on this day, Ravenshaw University commemorates the auspicious day of the foundation as to be the university with par excellence and to rise to the status of Ravenshaw par excellence every year. We invite person of high dignity for the Foundation Day speech, and several other academic performances are awarded on this day. But unfortunately, our revered Vice Chancellor, Professor Ishan Kumar Batra, is now in the process of recovery from COVID-19 infection, for which he could not do the role which is expected from him because he is the mastermind behind all these things. I wish him a speedy recovery so that he will be with us. And this year, we have limited the function with only the commemoration speech. And you don't believe who is the guest of the day is Mr. Pranav Khaitan. It is a very well-known name in world because of his performances for artificial intelligence and the help of the humanity, and the World Food Program bagged the most prestigious prize of the world, that is the Nobel Prize, by using his intelligence in this program. And you must be knowing he is he has started his career, his work from Orissa. So we are very much proud to have it here in our Foundation Day. And from NIT Raulkala till this UN's program, and he is the leader of this artificial intelligence operation in this program of the World Food Program. He is the advisory member of the council. He is the leader of artificial intelligence operation of the World Food Program, and he has done a lot of things in this progress to uplift the hunger of millions of people of the world using this program. Now, as you must be knowing him very well, so I am not going to be a bar between he and you, and I'll welcome you all and Mr. Pranav to this commemoration function and to start his speech. Please, sir.
Good morning, everybody. Thank you very much, Professor Das, for the kind introduction and for inviting me to this esteemed event. Thank you also very much to Professor Patro for the kind invitation. We all wish he could be here today, and we wish him a speedy recovery, and we hope he feels much better soon. I'm very honored and humbled to be part of this great event today. And yeah, let's get started. So today I'm going to talk about various topics centered around artificial intelligence for humanity. Let me start off. Okay, yeah. Let me start off talking about. So today we are here at the Foundation Day for Ravenshaw University. I feel extremely honored, given the long tradition of this university to produce and to be the cradle of ideas and innovation for such a long period of time. As Professor Das mentioned, this institution has produced countless thinkers who have powered the growth of not just our state but our country as well over the last many decades. And this institution is has in many ways been shaping the past as well as the future of the state of Orissa. So it does come with one second. Yeah, so being part of this great institution and being associated with this great institution comes with a lot of responsibility towards our state and our country. And I feel extremely honored today to be talking on this day as part of this great institution. I also want to talk about so in addition to being aware of the glorious past of this institution, I also have a deep personal connection to this institution. 60 years ago, my late grandfather had graduated from this institution. And when I was a child, 25 years ago, he would often tell me about his experiences here. He even took me to see this campus and show me how amazing and how beautiful it was, and how this has helped shape the state. And since then, I've been in awe of this university. And since then, many others from my family, including my uncle, have also been to this glorious institution and been a part of it. So today's talk is I'm going to cover four topics today. My journey, I'll introduce a little bit about artificial intelligence, and then talk about how it's helping humanity, and then maybe share some of the learnings I've had along the way. So first, I want to start off with my journey from Orissa. As Professor Das mentioned, I did my college there, and the kind organizers for this event did ask me to talk a little bit about how I went from there and how my career has progressed since. So yes, so I did spend my childhood days in Cuttack, where my maternal family lives, playing in Gauri Shankar Park there, eating the Hivada Aludam and Golgappa. I still miss all of these things a lot. I've searched all across the United States, and I still haven't been able to find a good Dahi Vada Aludam shop. So that's why I always want to come back to Cuttack. That's one of the many reasons I want to come back. And it's just where I spent a lot of my summer vacations and childhood days. After that, I went to NIT Rourkela, where I did my undergraduate college. I was fortunate to study under some of the most respected professors who gave me who helped me build the foundation for the rest of my career. My paternal family also lives in Rourkela, and I had the chance to also spend a lot of time with them. Soon after completing my undergraduate, I moved on to Stanford University. I was fortunate to study Masters of Computer Science there. I got to experience a lot of different aspects, including new cutting edge research in artificial intelligence, a lot of co-curricular activities, and it was a very exciting experience as well. During my grad school, I did do an internship at Facebook, which was again a very good learning experience, helping connect the world and helping build products that connect billions of our users across the world. After completing my studies, I joined Google, where I continue to work till today. There, I've worked on a range of technologies. Our core mission is to organize the world's information and make it universally accessible and useful. And as you know, Google today has a lot of products, and we continue to be very focused on our mission of helping our users and making information available and accessible to them in this most seamless fashion. I've had an amazing journey being part of Google and helping our billions of users get access to their information, get access to technology, and make their lives smoother and more efficient. That's what we enjoy doing. During the last 2 years, while as part of Google, I've also built a partnership along with my incredible team with the United Nations, where we are thinking about how can we use artificial intelligence to benefit all of humanity, especially sections which have been left behind historically, and that can benefit a lot from these kind of artificial technologies. So that's what took me to the United Nations, which again has been a very good opportunity, and I feel very fortunate to be a part of that. And before I finish my journey, I want to thank all my family members, all my friends, all my colleagues who have been an incredible part of this journey. Without them, none of this would have been possible, and they've always been there for me. And I thank everybody in my life. And again, there are too many of them to name here, but I've just put some pictures of my parents, my brother, my friends, my extended family. Um Everyone. Okay, now let's talk about. So, before I jump into talking about how artificial intelligence is helping humanity, I want to give a quick introduction to AI because a lot of us are still not very familiar with it. So, a brief introduction might help us become familiar with it. So, broadly speaking, artificial intelligence is the science of making things smart, which means can our computers improve and learn things to improve technology over time? And machine learning is a subset of that, where machines learn to be smarter by themselves instead of some hand coded rules or something. So there are algorithms that help it get smarter. And deep learning is a relatively recent subset of that, which uses neural networks to learn patterns across large data sets. And I'll talk more about that in subsequent slides. So these are some of the commonly known artificial intelligence techniques. There are lots of algorithms like naive-Bayes, logistic regression. There are statistical models which have been worked on for several decades, and there are neural networks which have recently evolved. Uh, as I talked about, neural networks is a fairly important technology, and it's a very powerful class of machine learning models. It was developed several decades ago, but has gotten increasing traction in the last decade due to several factors, and that's what has spurred the most of the recent innovation in the field of artificial intelligence. It's built with multiple layers which take an input and then process it to predict an output. It's largely inspired by what we know about the brain. So we do know that our brain has all these neurons which processes information in a very hierarchical fashion. So there are certain neurons which take an input, which process it, and then they pass it on to the next layer of neurons, which are specialized to do something else, which passes it on to the next layer. So neural networks have largely been inspired by it, and that is one of the reasons why they are so incredibly powerful, because as we know, our brains are very powerful and can do a wide range of computation. So being able to model on that has provided us this amazing capacity. It learns from examples. So here we can see there are lots of different images, and there are labels for each of those images, what they mean. And we feed all of these to a neural network, which then processes these images and then makes tiny changes to its neural connections to learn how to label each image or how to predict what is there inside each image. And that is how neural networks learn, using data and using examples. Here is one example. So here's an image where we are trying to predict, is this image of a cat or a dog? And the raw pixels from this image are fed into the input layer, which is at the bottom. From there, it goes on to the next layer, which learns semantically higher classes of information, which is like what are the edges in this image. From there, it goes on to the next higher layer, which learns yet another higher level of abstraction, which is what is the texture, what are the shapes in this image, and so on until the final layer has two neurons, which is whether this is a cat or a dog. And here we can see it's correctly predicting that it's a dog. And if the neural network initially, when it's not trained, gives an incorrect prediction, then we use the labels to feed that information back through the neural networks and correct those neural connections so that the next time the prediction is more accurate. So just like how we humans learn from doing and from correcting our mistakes, similarly neural networks learn from doing and correcting their mistakes, and they get better over time. So that was a little bit of introduction to artificial intelligence and neural networks. Next, I'll talk about how it is helping humanity and how it has a lot of potential to help humanity going forward. So the first project I'll talk about is AI to help provide aid. So we know soon after a disaster, entire populations are cut off from food and basic needs. Obviously, in Orissa, we are no stranger to it. We have seen our fair share of cyclones and unfortunate disasters. And we wish to be enough prepared so that we can avoid or at least mitigate the effects of these disasters going forward. And one key challenge that humanitarian workers face when these disasters hit is that they are overwhelmed, and initially they have very little data to be able to act on. So they are trying to help as much as they can with as less information as they have. And that's where we think technology can come and play a helping hand to humanitarian workers to help them analyze the situation, analyze all the data in a very short amount of time, and help deploy aid where it is needed. This work was done in partnership with the UN World Food Programme, which is the world's largest humanitarian organization by various measures. It has, for many decades, it has helped reduce hunger, it has helped promote food security, and it has helped lift hundreds of millions of people out of hunger over a long period of time. So it's a very respected institution that we are fortunate to be a part of and a partner of. As Professor Das mentioned, the World Food Programme was awarded the Nobel Peace Prize in 2020, just in the last few weeks, recognizing its work in promoting food security and helping bring peace to many regions. And as we know, peace and food and welfare go hand in hand, and the World Food Programme has played a key role in providing food aid. Yes. So the technology we use to begin with in providing aid is remote sensing. So we have satellite imagery, and that's something we can get relatively quickly when disaster hits a region. And using that, we can quickly assess that information. Again, manual processing would require weeks and many dozens of experts, but bringing in technology can allow doing it in hours instead of weeks. And the technology we developed for it was, again, I summarized neural networks. So we use that and we feed a pre-disaster image and a post-disaster image, and we compare where the damage happened and how the damage happened based on that imagery. So here's a visualization. As you can see, the first part here was identifying buildings. So given a broad image, it identified buildings. Then it does a scan of that image. to compare two different images of the same place before the disaster and after the disaster, and identifying which buildings were damaged and can be or should be helped at this point of time. And then we see this map with the red dots later on, which says these are the places where aid needs to be sent. So the problem was broken down into two parts. One is identifying where the buildings were. Second is identifying which of these buildings were damaged and are in need of help. The first part of the problem, we adapted a building detection model that we had developed at Google. Here we can see two different images um, from two different countries, and how we can automate in an automated manner label where the buildings are. And the reason I talk about buildings here are because buildings are often a good proxy for where the people are, and buildings here cover a wide range from big buildings to even smaller huts and smaller houses. The second part of the problem is once we do segment the image, we take the pre-disaster image and the post-disaster image and feed it through a convolutional neural network, which are a very powerful class of neural networks. And through that, we have a binary classification which says whether or not this building is damaged. And we do that for every building and then scale it for an entire region. Here are some outputs from the Haiti earthquake that happened recently. As we can see, the model does a very accurate job of predicting the impact of the disaster, often at par or even better than what the human eye can do. This work was published at NeurIPS 2019, which is a respected computer science conference. The second example I'll mention is this FAM project, which was a global initiative that, again, we as Google had done in partnership with the United Nations, and specifically the World Bank at the United Nations. Here you can see images from the UN General Assembly 2018, where this project was announced directly by the Secretary General and the World Bank President, where they announced their partnership with us and how we are building and launching this project. And this was covered a lot across the media, given its importance and given this problem it was solving, which was, can we, again, to talk a little more about the problem, it was, can we proactively and on time identify which regions are going to are likely to suffer from famines, so that we can help deploy aid to those regions in a proactive manner instead of being very late about it. If we can be proactive about it, then we can help save many lives that we would have lost because of hunger. So that was the goal of this project. And as we know, unfortunately, even today, famines affect a large percentage of our world. In 2020, given how advanced we have become, nobody should suffer from hunger and nobody should have to suffer from famines. But still, there are roughly 800 million people who suffer from some kind of lack of nutrition today. And our goal is to get that number to zero across the world. And then once this technology was built for the UN, our team, we wanted to make sure that we are able to use this for India. And as part of that, we had conversations with the Indian ambassador to the United Nations. And we continue to be very excited about how we can best leverage this technology for the welfare of India, for the welfare of Odisha, for basically every part of India that could potentially benefit from it. So I talked about a couple of problems, but there is a wide range of problems that humanity continues to face today and could hugely benefit from using technology, using computer science, using artificial intelligence. Here I list some examples. In the first example that we talked about is healthcare. And again, today it's very unfortunate that hundreds of millions of people are suffering from preventable diseases which could have been detected early and prevented early. One very good example is diabetes, and we know that the technology is already there to detect and prevent diabetes, but that technology is largely not accessible to a huge percent of our population. And if we can make this technology accessible through artificial intelligence, and there has already been a lot of progress in that direction, we believe it can help save hundreds of millions of people from future diabetes disease. And likewise, can we provide medicine to every family in need? So within healthcare, there's a huge range of applications. I would encourage students and everybody who are working in this space to think about how we can use artificial intelligence and computer science to get great leaps in the field of healthcare. The second domain is agriculture. And again, we know in Orissa, we have a huge percentage of our population involved in agriculture. And even though we have made great strides, there is a lot of inefficiency that exists today, be it for crop yield, be it in the market. And can we eliminate those inefficiencies and make sure that our farmers maximize their crop yield, maximize the best return that they get for their harvest? And again, I believe technology can play a huge role there. The third area is education. I feel this is critical for the growth of our state and for the growth of our country, because this is the foundation of what we do. And can we ensure every child gets access to basic education? That is the least we can do for our next generation, and that should be our priority number one. And again, deploying technology to assist there can make education more affordable, more accessible to everybody who needs it. And then the next step would be, can we make sure this education is customized for everybody's needs? We know a one size fits all education doesn't work well for everyone, because we each are different, we each have different needs, and we want to, again, use technology to customize education. As humans, it's hard to do, but as technology, as artificial intelligence, it's much easier to do. This is another problem that our state and country suffers from, which is we are often the target, and our animals are often the victim of illegal hunting or deprivation of resources. And can we use technology to protect them? And there have already been great examples of sea animals being protected, endangered species being accounted for using artificial intelligence. And I believe there's a lot of potential here as well. And the last one I would mention is how can we feed every household? So we know the food distribution pipeline is huge, and there is a lot of potential to optimize it. I talked at the beginning about food distribution during disasters, but we can extrapolate and use some technology like that for food distribution in general. And again, I'm already aware of several startups that are doing this already in collaboration with our World Food Program. And I believe this can again help provide food to everybody. Like one statistic that I had seen recently was globally about 700 to 800 million dollars worth of food goes to waste every year. And a tenth of that, 10% of that amount, sorry, that's billions, not millions, 10% of that amount could be used to feed all the hungry people in the world. And if we are wasting 10 times that food, why can't we use 1/10 of that amount? So this is an equation that we as humanity should be able to solve. And in 2020, the fact that we have not yet solved that is very unfortunate, and none of us should be content with that. So we should work hard to again minimize the wastage and plug in the gaps to make sure we are feeding the 800 million people out there who are in need of good nutrition. So in summary, and again, these were just some of the examples. I can think pretty much every profession, every field out there can benefit from computer science, from artificial intelligence. Some other examples are like power distribution. We have again seen a lot of use for this technology there. Even in like profession like legal profession or administration, we can use it to automate document processing and significantly reduce all the legal and administrative backlogs that we face across our country. So this can apply across the board, and it can help reduce and eliminate many of the big problems that humanity is facing every day. So I'll jump to the last and also my favorite part of the talk, which is the learnings I've had along the way, and some advice that I can humbly share with the students of this esteemed institution. As we talked about at the beginning, Ravenshaw as an institution has an incredible heritage, and being part of this institution comes with a huge responsibility towards our state and our country. We know students from this university go on to become leading scientists, administrators, thinkers, and many, many more professions, which are then critical to building our society across our state, across our country. And we shouldn't take that responsibility lightly. It's a huge privilege, but it also comes with a huge responsibility. And in order to live up to that responsibility, we should strive, and we should make sure we use all the opportunities at our disposal, and then we use our learnings to help and give back to society, who would benefit from this. So related to that, so I'll share some of the things. And again, these are basic things, but I feel this is something that can hugely help each of us as we progress in our career, whether we are in the beginning or even in the middle. Um, Again, as I mentioned, the students of this university are the future of our state and our country. We have leading people, like its alumni are leading across the board, and this comes with a huge responsibility. Some of the learnings I would say is, the first one is think big, right? So I think oftentimes one of the biggest mistakes we do is we limit our thinking. We put artificial hurdles in our mind, which do not exist in reality, and that limits our potential, that limits our scope. And what I've learned over the years, and I know what many people here would know, is the only limits are really what we artificially put in our mind, right? Like almost all the other hurdles can be crossed or overcome over time. And if we can overcome that, if we think big, if we think broad, everything that is worth happening, that has happened in this planet, wouldn't have happened if somebody didn't think big, right? So everybody, be it our freedom fighters, be it our entrepreneurs, be it our political leaders, everybody, they thought big, they stepped outside their comfort zone, and that's why they were able to accomplish what they accomplished today. And it's very important we think that sky is the limit to what each of us can do. Each of us has a lot of potential. On a related note, the second one, I really like this, the image of this child who's so confident. And again, like I think as children, almost all of us tend to be very confident in ourselves. We believe in our potential. We believe we can do anything. But during the transition from childhood to adulthood, we often let our confidence take a hit, and a lot of doubts creep in. And it's impossible that we believe in ourselves. You have the power to do anything. And the fearlessness that we had when we were child, I think we should keep that while we are an adult, and we should believe in ourselves, because if you don't believe in yourself, nobody else will, and if you do, then almost everyone else will as well. So it's important you believe in yourself. Obviously all of us will face hurdles at some point of time. We have faced hurdles already and will face more in future, but I think believing in yourself and keeping yourself going is critical to accomplishing big things. And while being confident is important, the last thing I would say is be humble, be kind, all the time. And this is probably the one thing that separates, that's common to almost all of the successful people out there, is that they are humble and they are kind to everybody around them. And there should be no exceptions to this, right? So whether it's somebody who's huge, who's very a big personality, or somebody who doesn't have that big of a reputation, we should be kind to everybody around us. Like everybody around us is fighting their own battle in their own way. And I can't overemphasize how critical this is for each of our well-being, for each of our success. And the more we help others, the more we are kind to others, the more it will come back to us and reflect on our success. So while being confident is important, while thinking big is important, it's even more important to be humble, to be kind all the time. And lastly, I'll wish everybody here, all the students, the best. I know that you have your most exciting days ahead of you, and the world awaits the contributions of the students of Ravenshaw. And with that, I'll conclude my presentation. Thank you very much again to Professor Das and to Ravenshaw University for extending me this invitation. I'll be happy to take questions going forward.
Thank you, sir. We are privileged to have this information from Mr. Khaitan because it is the contemporary need that in this period of pandemic, when our accessibility is very less physical accessibility, this artificial intelligence is the way which can help our world to get many things. As per your statement, because I am not expert in this field, but I feel it will help us. And also I want to thank here Professor Ajay Kumar Mohanty, who is the director of Deloitte Consulting USA, who actually connected you with us to have these learned things with to our students. And now, with all this, I want to hand over Professor Ashima Sahu, who will handle this question answer session. If students are having some question, they can ask, and you are there to answer. So please, Ashima, madam.
Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Das, Chairperson, Council of Deans. We have received a couple of questions. I think Mr. Khaitan would be happy to answer these. The first question comes from Pooja Mohanty. She asks, how can artificial intelligence be made more economic and financially accessible to underdeveloped nations with their indigenous systems being insufficient to tackle their perennial food insecurity?
Yeah, thank you very much, Pooja, for this question. I think this is a wonderful question, and it touches on many aspects of my talk. So yes, so I think when we think about artificial intelligence, and even broadly computer science in general, one of the beautiful parts about it is that it's hugely democratizing in the sense that deploying artificial intelligence technology doesn't require lots of physical infrastructure. Practically everybody with a computer and with internet can easily build an artificial intelligence model today. But that being said, it's still not very accessible to everybody across the board. And the primary reason for that is lack of awareness and lack of education. So I think the key to making this more accessible is to make this, like, get the education out there. How can we get more people aware of artificial intelligence? How can we coach more of our students and more of our even faculty members to be aware of it? Because I think once the learning curve is crossed, then I think it's very largely accessible. I think the deployment cost for artificial intelligence tends to be a fraction of the deployment cost for many other technologies which require huge physical infrastructure and all that. So I think so. Then the question moves on to, okay, how can we get our masses more educated about this subject? And I think some ways to do that is, can we introduce computer science early on in our curriculum, right? So given the broad importance of it, can we get more of our students aware of it? Can we deploy it across the board? Again, we know Odisha is very rural. Can we make sure each of our villages have access to some kind of computer science education? Maybe we can incorporate this in all of our public libraries, which has, again, I'm familiar with the work that the Odisha Society of America has done to boost the public library system in Odisha. So maybe we can tie this to that. So I think these are some of the ways we can make it more economically accessible.
Thank you. The next question is from Satyavrata Muni. He wants to know, where do we start if you want to bring transparency for farmers for price discovery of farm produce?
Yes. Yeah, again, a very good question. Thank you, Mr. Satyavrata Muniji. So yes, so bringing transparency again. So the one positive development that has happened in the last decade, not just in our country but across our planet, has been the growth of cell phones. Right, like 2 decades ago, people like very few people had cell phones, but today almost everybody has access to cell phones. So if we are able to tie a lot of these agricultural market data back to our cell phones. Like today, we have an app for practically everything. So why can't we have an app for agricultural produce? And I'm pretty sure there are already some apps. And I think once we introduce this level of transparency, where somebody sitting in Ganjam can be aware very easily of the market in Balasore and likewise in let's say Sundargarh, then everybody is connected to each other, and then we can eliminate any kind of inefficiency, and people will be aware of the prices in all the places and can quickly get their produce to where it's most needed in the most price efficient manner. So I think using smartphones and then getting all the data in one place, and once the data is in one place, then there is a lot of data mining and prediction technology that I talked about that we can deploy on it, right? So because again, as farmers, each farmer wants to focus on their farming. They don't want to do like all the data analysis and all that. So your phone or your technology should be able to do that. It should be able to process everything and just give you the answer that maybe you should just sell your produce in this place at this price. And that is what farmers would ideally like to do. So I think collecting the data and then analyzing the data in an efficient manner would help us do that.
Thank you. The next question is from Srikant Jena. He wants to know how artificial intelligence is working during this COVID-19 pandemic globally.
Yes. Yeah, thank you, Srikant, for the question. So artificial intelligence has helped in the field of drug discovery by helping expedite how drugs are prototyped and tested across the board. And so that is one area where I'm aware many scientists across the planet are using artificial intelligence to prototype and test not just drugs, but also vaccines for COVID. That's one domain. Other related areas, even though they may not be directly related to COVID, but are, for instance, like job market search, right? So unfortunately, we know a lot of our fellow citizens have suffered lack of jobs or have lost their jobs as a result of this crisis. And can we connect them to the best opportunities? Can we even create new opportunities for them from their house? That they can leverage and help provide a livelihood during this crisis. So these are a couple of examples of how it's helping during this COVID crisis.
Thank you. Next is from Amit Maharana. He asks how artificial intelligence can improve education. Explain a little bit on this topic, how it is helpful to the students who are in school.
Yes. This is, thank you, Amit, for the question. I think, this is a question I've thought a lot about. Again, given how fundamental education is to our society, everything else that we do depends on our students being bright and smart and being trained well to succeed later on. I think to address the specific question of how can it help students who are in school, I think one big gap that we see across education in India, even somewhat across the world, but also in India, is we tend to have a one size fits all curriculum for students, right? And again, that's partially because obviously we have a lot of students to teach, and we have only so many professors, so we have to scale up education. But the limitation that comes with is we cannot get education customized for each individual. So there might be some individuals who are very good in maths, but not so good in language. And there might be some individuals who are good in language, but not good in math. And how do we customize the curriculum for that? And again, if I were to be a teacher, for me, it's very difficult to do that because I have only so much time in a day, and I can't teach 8 different lectures to 8 different students if I were a teacher. But a computer can teach 8 different lectures to 8 different students. It can customize your homework. It can customize your tutorial, it can customize every part of your right? And the key part I will mention here is that computer or technology can never ever replace human teaching, right? So I think one of the amazing parts about our education is the human factor, right? And that is what helps build our students to be so successful. So the role I see it playing is that of an assistant. Technology will be an assistant to our faculty, to our professors, who will use it as and where needed. But the key relationship between faculty and students, that will continue to be the foundation of education, because that is the most critical link to our system.
Thank you. Now, Gyanaranjan Nanda wants to know on concept mining aspect of artificial intelligence.
Wow, yeah, this is an exciting topic. Thank you, Gyan, for the question. So broadly speaking, so one challenge that artificial intelligence or any such technology has is it tends to be relatively opaque compared to most of the other things. So a lot of the basic technologies, we just tend to write rules that we understand well, and then we tend to define our systems around those rules. But artificial intelligence tends to automatically learn those rules instead of us having to go and manually define those rules. And that is where the power of artificial intelligence comes from. But oftentimes, what people are curious about is, okay, I have the system which has learned these rules, but instead of just the system learning these rules, can it also share these concepts back with me, right? And if it were to share these concepts back with me, what it has learned, if it can mine and share those concepts back with me, then I can use these concepts and put it in other systems, which can help even more things, even beyond this particular artificial intelligence technology. So that's where concept mining is. I think it's a relatively emerging part of artificial intelligence. I think most of the growth and innovation here we are yet to see, but I expect this will be an increasing important area, partially because as artificial intelligence moves to more critical areas like healthcare, like education, it's more and more important that we mine the concepts and use those concepts instead of just applying some opaque technology directly. Yeah.
Thank you. Now, Professor Smriti Prabha Das wants to know what are the risks or potential dangers of artificial intelligence, and at the same time, she is very curious to learn as to how AI can help human beings more smart.
Yes. Yeah. Thank you, Professor Das, for the question. This is a topic that myself and my organization, we have spent a lot of time thinking about, and we still do, because we do know that artificial intelligence is changing humanity in a lot of ways, and we want to be extremely sure that it's helping in all the positive manners. If there are any negative effects, we want to eliminate it very early on. I think there are, like in the media, I think there are some irrational fears. I don't think those are likely to come true. So that's not my worry. What I do worry for most of the time is this problem of inequality or of fairness, right? And again, we over the last 2-3 centuries, we have invented a lot of technologies that have helped lift our society in a lot of ways. Like if we look at life 200 years ago, life today tends to be way more comfortable and way better than what it was 200 years ago. But sometimes some technology help increase inequality and help create more barrier, and they don't help all parts of our society. So that is a problem that I tend to be very concerned about, which is every application of artificial intelligence, we should make sure we are helping people across the spectrum in a very fair manner. It shouldn't increase inequality across the board. If anything, it should reduce inequality. It should be fair to everybody. We should not favor a particular demographic over some other demographic, because it's very easy as humans or as computers to learn the existing biases in society and to further perpetrate these biases, and we want to prevent doing that. And I think that's a risk I'm worried about. But I am aware a lot of organizations, including my own, are working very actively to prevent any of those bad effects. And the second question that Professor, can you please repeat the second question, Professor?
How can AI help human beings to be more smart?
Yes, I think that's a very broad question, and I think I'll focus on the education and learning part of it, which is I think AI can help provide customized learning to us when we need it, and also so again so like this COVID example, right? So we know a lot of us have to be at our home for the last several months, and as a result of that, a lot of us may not get access to the right kind of opportunities. So we can use this time to train ourselves or retrain ourselves to the new emerging areas. And that's where I feel technology and artificial intelligence can play a key role.
Thank you. Next question is from one of our faculty from Computer Science Department, Dr. Dilip Senapati. His question is, for machine intelligence, machine needs huge amount of training data set to provide better accuracy and prediction. This problem falls in the category of non-linearity complexity. Does it require high GPU and machine for quicker decision?
Yeah, thank you, Dr. Senapati, for the question. Yeah, I think it touches on a key part of machine learning, which is the need for training data. And yes, historically, machine learning has required huge amount of training data. There has been a lot of recent and ongoing research that is thinking about how can we learn using less data, using transfer learning, and that continues to be an emerging field. That being said, yes, it is machine learning tends to be computationally expensive across the board. GPUs have shown a lot of GPUs have been a critical resource. There have been many deployments of GPUs for critical artificial intelligence problem. We are now seeing customized GPUs that are made for the purpose of machine learning that are again being deployed at scale, and these are helping boost training and inference by factors of hundreds and thousands, and that's very good. The challenge, of course, with GPUs is lack of availability. It's not as available as a regular CPU is, but yes, deploying GPUs and using it can help significantly boost our machine learning capabilities.
Thank you. Now, Biswajit Tripathi says, sir, in Amazon warehouse, robots are still fail to picking different shaped item and packing them. So he wants to know what are the aspects required for the robot so that it can pick different shaped item and pack them.
Yeah, thank you, Biswajit, for the question. This is a very broad question. It requires going into a lot of robotics aspects. I'll summarize. So some of the things that a robot needs is the first thing is the capability to see and sense, right? So as the robot is navigating the warehouse, they need to be see and sense where they are going so that they don't collide with other robots or other humans or even parts or shelves in the warehouse. So that is one key part. The other key part is once they travel to where they need to, then interacting with the particular item and picking that item and being able to then take that item to the delivery spot. So basically interacting with that item is, and again, we as humans, this is something that we learn when we are small children by learning and doing. Like often when we pick something, we drop it and we are not good, but once we do it a few times, then we learn how to do it. Likewise, robots have to learn it. So these are some of the aspects. And then there are some other domains like reinforcement learning, where we learn by reinforcing, by making mistakes and then reinforcing and in real time. Those would also help. And again, I think this problem touches on almost all aspects of artificial intelligence in order to solve it perfectly.
Thank you. SP Acharya wants to know what is super intelligent AI system and how it will benefit the humans.
I think so far, thank you, Acharya ji, for the question. So far, super intelligent systems have largely been a product of our movies that we have seen. I think we see a lot of these movies like Terminator, where there are these super intelligent systems that can do anything they want. Luckily or unluckily, we have not seen those, or at least the systems we have so far, we don't call them as super intelligent. I think depending on who you ask, I think one way to think about it is a system that is intelligent in general and can solve a broad range of problems could be called as a super intelligent system. And how can that be beneficial? One very concrete example that I can think is um, obviously India today has a big youth demographic, but as our population ages, a lot of our old aged members will need help that they may not be able to get from other people. And if we were to have a smart AI assistant or a robot that can assist them, then it can make their lives smoother. We are already seeing examples of this in countries like Japan. And I think a so-called super intelligent system could help our aged people with some of the basic problems that they face.
Thank you. Now, Lakshmi Priya wants to know how AI helps the space exploration.
Mhm. Yeah, I think this is again very. I think yeah. Thank you, Lakshmi Priya, for the question. So actually one project that I did 12 years ago was using computer science to help analyze the galaxies out there and help mine data from galaxy and star information. And as we know, there are billions of galaxies and billions of stars out there. And we get all this data, but we are not able to make sense of it. And if we are able to understand it, that will hugely help us a better explore space, and B, more importantly, better understand our own planet, right? Because our planet is a very, very, very tiny part of the whole universe, and we know very little about it. So if we can use the learnings from other galaxies out there, then we can use that to help save our planet, which is suffering from various existential, potentially existential problems today. And I think understanding space, understanding galaxy will help both exploration and also help save our planet today.
The next question is by Purnachandra Panda. How AI can be used in electoral process in 21st century and for the aged persons who are unable to go to the polling station?
Right. Thank you, Purnachanda, for the question. This is a very complex question, and this has gotten a lot of limelight in the last 3-4 years with elections across the globe. I think I would recommend that we be very cautious in this, and we, in fact, not use AI for the electoral process to begin with, because the electoral process is meant to be of the people, for the people, by the people. And there's given how new artificial intelligence is, we don't want to bias the process by introducing it so early on, because it can have some effect that we haven't thought about, right? So I think that process, being how critical it is to our democracy, to our society, maybe I think we should leave that problem for later on. I think where it can help a lot, where it's already helping, is making voting more accessible, right? And the other thing you mentioned is making the question was also asked about how can we make police departments more accessible to our aged people, and not just aged people, it needs to be more accessible and more accountable to everybody. So we already have the vision of our Honorable Chief Minister Naveen Babu, the 5T vision, which calls on transparency and various other parts. And I think to achieve those 5Ts, artificial intelligence can play a huge role. And now that Naveen Babu has set out this vision for Odisha a few years ago, I think the implementation of that transparency and accountability and various other parts can be hugely achieved by artificial intelligence across almost all departments, be it police, be it administration. I talked about farming, healthcare, education. I think all of these can benefit from it in huge ways. Yeah.
Thank you. Next question is from Amit Maharana. It's a bit technical. Can we make a sunglass-like edit for recognizing the objects and analyzing the data using computer vision and AI? Is the analyzed data purely accurate or nearly accurate?
Yes. Yeah. Thank you, Amit, for the question. This is, yeah, I like the question. It's a very fun question. And I think these are the kind of technology, like 30 years ago when I was a child, if I was asked, what will happen 30 years later or 20 years later, I would have said, oh yeah, everything will be automated. We will have these glasses that I'll wear and I can sense everything that will tell me who everybody is around me and all of that. And I think today we are relatively close to it, though I think computer vision is fairly advanced. I would say it's 90% of the way there. I think the more important question here is, are we as a society willing to accept such technologies, right? So, for instance, one big problem that comes out of this is surveillance, right? And India is a free society and a democracy today, and we don't want like overly surveillance happening everywhere, right? And once we have too many of these cameras everywhere, can it worry people who are worried about privacy if other people or the government can use these technologies in some ways that we haven't thought about? So I think we have to be very cautious. I don't know if society today is ready to accept these things. I don't know if the laws are in place. And I think that's a broad problem in general with artificial intelligence. In there, I believe the laws of our society and the regulations have not coped up well with technologies like artificial intelligence. And I feel government needs to spend more time understanding these technologies and making sure they build the right regulations and laws that are in sync with these technologies. And that will be a key part. And that will actually help promote technologies like these sunglasses that can help me sense the society and environment around me.
Thank you. Now, next question is from Bishri Tripathi. He wants to know, what is the role of AI in mind copying?
Yeah, thank you, Viswajit, for the question. So far, there is no role of AI in mind copying. I hope for the next many years there is no role for it. Again, it's a very deep question, and I think it's questions like these that we need thinkers and experts from universities like Ravenshaw University to think about these questions and come up with the answers to these questions. I don't know the answer. I don't even know if we should even use AI to do mind copying, because it can start a dangerous trend across the planet. And I personally wouldn't want myself or anybody to do anything like that, even if we are capable of doing that. So I think we need the best philosophers, we need the best administrators, the best lawmakers, the best thinkers of our time to sit down and think about these problems on how do we do. Obviously, there are a lot of benefits, right? So if somebody is suffering from some major disease like coma or something today, then maybe we can help save them in some ways using these technologies. But then there are a lot of risky aspects of this that I worry about, right? If somebody gets too powerful and they can keep their mind for longer than their body, then there can be a lot of implications for our society, which we can't even predict at this point. So I think we should be very cautious about these technologies.
Now, the next question is from Gajendra Shamal. This is a question which is bothering many of our young students. He wants to know, is artificial intelligence getting rid of the jobs?
Yeah, thank you, Gajendra, for the question. Yeah, I think this is a very relevant question and something that we should be actively thinking about. I think the short answer is no, it's not getting rid of our jobs. The answer here is it is helping create jobs and it will help create jobs going forward. That is what I strongly believe. Even though on the surface it might appear that artificial intelligence helps automate things, if you look back for the last 100, 200 years, every time we have automated something, it has helped create lots and lots of jobs. Like before, travel used to be very manual, like we traveled on horses and bullock carts 100 years ago. Then we created cars to automate travel. And since then, we have created hundreds of millions of jobs centered around the car industry, right? We had telephones, we had television industry, and every time we automated something, the incumbent industry felt like, oh my God, we will lose our jobs. But once we were able to harness these technologies, in fact, the incumbent industry adapted. Wherever they adapted, they benefited from it. and it helped create hundreds of millions of jobs that we could have never have thought about before. And the same thing is going to happen with artificial intelligence. It will help automate some of the more mundane jobs that people may not want to do today, and it will help create many more new creative jobs that people will want to enjoy today. And maybe even better, I think it will help free society from many of the mundane tasks we are doing. Maybe someday we will not have to work 40-hour weeks, and we might have to work just half the time because artificial intelligence does that, and we still get all the productivity from society that we did before. Maybe it will happen, maybe it will not. But I feel the answer is no, and it will help create many more jobs going forward.
Thank you. Now, there is a generic question from Chinmay Das. He wants you to tell you something about neural networks.
Yeah, thank you, Chinmay, for the question. I think I already talked about and explained neural networks, so I won't go into much detail. I think the two-line summary I will say is neural networks is a powerful class of machine learning models, largely centered around how the brain works, and that helps us analyze lots of data and learn patterns from them to be able to then do accurate predictions from neural networks. So that's the short summary of neural networks.
Thank you. We are coming to an end almost. There is one question from Svetlana. What is deep learning and how is it different from AI? And what are the domains of AI?
Yes, again, a very useful question. Thank you, Svetlana, for the question. So deep learning is a subset is a subset of artificial intelligence. And the reason it is called as deep is because, as I talked about, it is structured across many layers. And again, we know that our brain thinks in a hierarchical fashion. We process information from one layer, then pass it on to the other layer. And that's what deep learning does. AI includes deep learning, but it also includes other parts, other algorithms that may not think so much in a hierarchical fashion, and that processes information maybe in a more linear fashion. So I think deep learning is a more broader form and a more powerful type of AI.
So I think we are coming to an end of this Q&A session, but there is a very interesting question, and this is the last one. This is from Smriti Prabha Das. Will it be possible to build artificial emotional intelligence?
I wish. I think that's a very creative question, and I think that's the big thing that is lacking in artificial intelligence today. I wish we could build emotional intelligence, and as I talked about during my talk, I think emotional intelligence is a key thing that helps humans succeed, that have helped humans become what we are over the last few centuries. And I think that is what separates today humans from technology. I wish it would learn these things, but I see a very long path, and I think, and it even answers the question like, would it replace our jobs? And the answer is no, because artificial intelligence does not have emotional intelligence today. And as much as I wish it would have, it doesn't exist today. So I would close on that note.
Thank you. Now it's time to extend a formal vote of thanks. First of all, we express our deep sense of gratitude to Mr. Pranam Khaitan for delivering the 14th Commemoration Day lecture on such a topical issue, that is artificial intelligence and humanity. We're certain our viewers must have benefited immensely from his deliberations, his remarkable journey from the student days at Raulkela to becoming the team member of the World Food Program, who is the recipient of 2020 Nobel Peace Prize. He is now at the world center stage. So your remarkable journey will definitely inspire our students to strive towards excellence, both in the studies, research, and innovation. So we are extremely grateful to you, sir, for taking out time for sharing so much of your ideas on such a crucial topic about which many of us are totally unaware of. Thank you again. Now, we are also highly indebted to our esteemed Vice Chancellor, Professor Ishan Kumar Patra, for conceptualizing this idea and taking this initiative to organize this lecture by Mr. Khaitan. Professor Patra is always bubbling with new ideas, and he leaves no stone unturned to expose the Ravenshaw community to new ideas and to new perspectives. We are missing him terribly on this day of commemoration. Now, we are also thankful to Dr. Ajay Mahanti, who has actually facilitated this lecture by Mr. Khaitan. Then our sincere thanks goes to our chairperson, Council of Deans, Professor Smriti Prabha Das, for presiding over this meeting and conducting this proceeding. So thank you, madam. Then we are also thankful to Dr. Priyanka Tripathi for extending the technical support. Then we are thankful to all our viewers, the faculty of Ravenshaw University, the students, the distinguished guests for deciding to be a part of this very useful and timely lecture and encouraging us by their presence. This is truly a remarkable and memorable 14th Commemoration Day, and it became so very special because of the very gracious presence of Mr. Khaitan. So thank you once again to all our viewers, to all our participants. Thank you.
Professor Saru. Yeah.
So now the meeting has come to an end.
Thank you, sir, for joining us. And we'll have interaction later also. This will be the first thing, and we'll continue with you.
Thank you. Very, very grateful to all of you. Very nice meeting all of you. Thank you. Bye-bye.